Well, let's talk to Maggie Oliver, former detective constable and founder, of course, of the Maggie Oliver Foundation, because the problem that she has been fighting, of course, has been the criminal gangs in some cities in the north of England, particularly in Rotherham, particularly in Rochdale, trying to get the police to take notice of a series of crimes that were being committed against young women, often young white working class women who were being raped systematically, who were being sexually assaulted. And Maggie, of course, has been hailed as the sole campaigner on this for so long, and she's finally seeing some sign of success where more and more people are being prosecuted for what they did. But unbelievably, we now have a situation where Rotherham, one of the places where grooming gangs kind of were born, has been named as the UK's first ever children's capital of culture. Doesn't seem to make an awful lot of sense. Let's say a very good morning to Maggie Oliver. Maggie, how are you doing?
Good morning, Mike. Nice to be with you.
Yeah, nice to see you again. Thanks for joining us. This seems to beg a belief, really, this. I don't know who makes these kind of decisions. I don't even know what children's capital of culture means, but, I mean, Rotherham, really?
I agree with you, and it's the same nonsense that we had the other week from both Rishi Sunak and Liz Truss. They seem to feel that just by announcing something like this, miraculously, we will have a complete change in culture, in attitudes, in how these kids are treated. And it needs far, far more than just simply words. Mike, we have a system now, the police and the criminal justice system is just not fit for purpose. And I see this as another attempt to, it's about smoke and mirrors. This will not change the reality of children being failed on a monumental scale. And actually, I find it really insulting for children and for the people of Rotherham that they think that this alone will suddenly transform the way that these cases are dealt with, because it just won't.
No, it's a very sort of Blairite PR way to deal with things, isn't it? Because we saw the same in Bradford. Bradford was named City of Culture for 2023 or something, I think. And then just last week, it was named as the most dangerous city in Europe. Not least because of the fact that an awful lot of sex crime was committed there, but because it had, per head of population, more crime than anywhere else in the continent of Europe.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time out of the country, and I see, for instance, in Spain, you can barely walk 5 yards without seeing a police officer walking around or sitting having a coffee. We don't have enough police officers anymore. We don't have a court system that works. We have barristers on strike. We have courts closing down. We need really serious investment in our criminal justice system. And for me, this is it's a PR exercise. I think that the reality is, though, that because of, in large part to my speaking about this repeatedly, the cat is out of the bag throughout the country. And when the public see an announcement like this, I'm sure that everybody like me says, are they having a laugh? We've poured billions into COVID and, track and trace that didn't work. We've lined the pockets of people who have gone away with all this money. If a fraction of that money had gone into the criminal justice system, we wouldn't have a system that is unfit for purpose. We wouldn't have children being abused daily and their perpetrators just walking away. Even when they are charged, the sentences are completely inadequate for the crimes for which they are guilty. An announcement from, Rishi Sunak saying they're going to look at it is not going to put it right. There's 20 years of neglect here that is going to take serious investment and commitment, not just, an easy announcement. Words are easy. Action is what it takes. I'm not seeing any action, Mike.
Well, there's no action being taken at all. Literally, in the past 2 or 3 weeks alone, we've seen more and more footage of lawlessness. We've seen, people being attacked in broad daylight with knives, with machetes. You see people raiding shops with the back of a car. You see kids rampaging through Nottingham's McDonald's, and nobody's doing anything. And the police, 7, I think, different police forces in this country are in special measures, including Manchester, including Scotland Yard and the Metropolitan Police. Data from the Home Office, I think, earlier this month showed that it's around about, it's all less than 10% of house raids, robberies, thefts being solved, nobody's even investigating them and then charging anyone. And even if they are charged, they probably don't go to prison.
And that's true. I mean, you know, I started my own charity, the Maggie Oliver Foundation, and we fight alongside victims and survivors of sexual abuse, not just grooming gangs. And, you know, we try and advocate for those victims throughout the country. But all through the country, victims are coming to us. They're having the doors slammed in their face when they report these crimes. And you know as well as I do that if you report a burglary now, you're very lucky to get a police officer to come anywhere near you. We've got policing on the cheap. Even when I joined the police, you know, people were getting a housing allowance. You were getting a 30-year pension. You had a reasonably good salary. You know, we've got PCSOs doing the work of police officers now on the cheap. And I don't think we're going to resolve this problem without serious investment. I think we need a Royal Commission looking at policing throughout the country. It's not just Rotherham. It's everywhere. And it isn't just grooming gangs. It is policing in general. You know, we often hear of them going to police somebody who's put an offensive message on Twitter. I'm not blaming the individual police officers because I think that they are not trained effectively, they are underpaid, they're under-resourced. I lay the blame clearly at the feet of chief constables who are political pawns, of the Home Office, of repeated governments, Conservative and Labour, who have neglected to invest in our public services. Policing is just one of them. The NHS is another. Education is another. And I think we've come to, you know, the end of the road where the country needs people who know what to do to run these public services. Because, you know, from where I'm sitting, I see a country that has really neglected public services, and we are reaping the benefits, that, you know, the consequences of that now. I don't
think there's any doubt, Maggie, that the world of public service has changed dramatically in your and my lifetime. You know, it used to be about service. It used to be about not getting paid an awful lot of money, but having pretty good benefits and decent pension and all of that kind of thing. Now it's sort of riddled and filled up with diversity managers and sustainability managers and all of this crap, which has nothing to do with the job.
You know what? I couldn't agree with you more, Mike. And, you know, I mean, I'm known for policing, but, you know, I feel as though the blinkers have come off my eyes in a way. Over the past 10 years, 15 years, I began this journey. When I resigned from Greater Manchester Police, I initially thought it was one lazy officer who wasn't doing his job. But over a period of 10 years, I've seen that it isn't one officer. It's a system that has deliberately turned away from children who are being abused. But I also look at all our other public services, and you look at what's going on in the country now. We've got a crisis in, you know, a cost of living crisis and a crisis in, you know, in people in our country that I have never seen in my lifetime. And where are the government? Where are the politicians? How are they looking to put this right for ordinary people who are living in terror of how they're going to pay? I don't know how an ordinary working family survived. You know, £1,000 is a minimum wage. How are they going to live? And yet, where are those people entrusted with looking after the finances of the country? This is not an answer to grooming gangs. It is an easy soundbite which will not put it right. And you know, these problems stretch way beyond grooming gangs. They stretch through policing as a whole, through the criminal justice system, I would say through the NHS, through education, trains, you know, everywhere you look, we have got things falling apart. Who is going to take control and who is going to address it? And it makes me really angry, really sad. But we do need somebody to take a grip, and I really don't know who that person is.
Yeah, maybe we haven't got a person, but we certainly need a government to do it. Maggie, fantastic to talk to you. Thank you so much. Maggie Oliver, former Detective Constable, founder of the Maggie Oliver Foundation.